Everything the iPhone 13 can do in a phone that can fit in the palm of your hands. This is the iPhone 13 mini, a phone for folks who just don't want a big phone. But doesn't a small phone come with compromises, or is this the phone that you've been waiting for? Hi, I'm Michael Josh, your gadget matchmaker, helping you find the right iPhone for you. This is our iPhone 13 mini review. So it's been about 2 weeks now since my review devices arrived, and I've used the iPhone 13 mini long enough for me to confidently be able to give you my thoughts. Clearly, I've got a lot of phones to review this week, but I wanted to start with the iPhone 13 mini, partly because for most of last year, the iPhone 12 mini was my daily companion. And during my time with it, as much as I loved it, I ran into two issues that I wished Apple would one day fix. Number one, storage wasn't big enough for a power user like me. I kept hitting that 256 gigabyte ceiling and begrudgingly had to store more and more of my data on the cloud. Number two, battery life was poor. Once New York started opening up and I spent more time outdoors, I realized the battery life on my 12 mini just didn't cut it. That's when I switched to the 12 Pro Max, which has awesome battery life. And so, as we begin this video, I'm thrilled to report that this year, Apple has addressed all my problems and then some. If you know all about the iPhone 13, then you can skip ahead using the chapter markers below. But if you're one of those users who are switching from an older phone, then here's a recap to get you up to speed. The new iPhone 13 mini is the smallest iPhone Apple currently offers. It's slightly bigger than the iPhone 5 or the 2016 iPhone SE, smaller than the iPhone 8, the 2020 iPhone SE, and the iPhone 10, and much smaller than the current iPhone 13. In 2021, it's rare to find a phone as small as the mini, and that really is the appeal of this phone. Its design mirrors the rest of Apple's product offerings with flat edges and rounded corners. Its frame is aluminum, its back glass, and its screen a more shatter-resistant material called ceramic shield. It's IP68 water and dust resistant, enough to keep you protected from the rain. It doesn't have a home button or Touch ID anymore. Instead, it has Face ID, which uses your face to unlock your phone. All of this is thanks to super secure tech called the TrueDepth system built into the notch. It's powered by Apple's A15 Bionic chip, which TBH packs more power than you actually need. With an OLED display that's rich and vibrant, it's got two cameras with wide and ultra-wide angle lenses, and it supports 5G for super fast downloads on the go. Finally, it has circular magnets inside, which enables a whole range of MagSafe accessories, like this portable battery pack, my favorite wallet, or third-party accessories like Belkin's Boost Charge Pro or Joby's Grip-Tight Gorilla Pod. Speaking of, if you're looking for the best accessories for the iPhone 13 series, that video is coming real soon. And I'd love it if you help us out by subscribing to this YouTube channel and turning on notifications so that you get notified as soon as we upload. While thanks to a makeover, last year's iPhone 12 seemed like the big update, I'd argue that this go-around is much more significant. Even if the 13 mini looks just like the 12 mini, between its larger battery, more powerful yet efficient processor, and completely new cameras, this is the update you've been waiting for. And can we just spend some time to appreciate how small this phone is? Apart from the big screen trend, one of the reasons why phones have gotten bigger is that tech companies just needed more space for all the high-tech components that go into our phones. I know we all complain about camera bumps getting bigger, but hey, if you want a better camera, then that's the price you have to pay. So imagine the engineering challenge that Apple has had to face to come up with the mini, all the tech that they needed to fit in this smaller form factor. On paper, apart from battery and screen size, this is the same exact phone as the larger iPhone 13. And in a world where bigger usually means better, I love that the iPhone 13 mini isn't any less of a phone, even if it's smaller. And I love that Apple gives even power users like me the opportunity to choose. Apple promises the iPhone 13 mini will last you 1.5 hours longer than the 12 mini. Of course, how much that ends up being depends on how you use your phone. So the best test would be to spend a usual day with a mix of indoor and outdoor activities. And that's what I did. Overall, I'm happy to say that the 13 mini does last longer than the 12 mini, about an hour longer, roughly, with average use, which for me means constant texting and perusing social media, watching videos in the morning, a few snaps on my camera, or a game. It got me through a 9 to 5 day and then some. More like 9 to 7 actually, about 4 hours of screen on time. Of course, not everyone is like me. I have a lot of friends who are not always glued to their phones, and this phone can probably get them through a full day. It's definitely not long-lasting like the 13 Pro Max, so if you're a heavy user, you're still going to want a power bank. It's a bit pricey, but if you expect to be out longer and are carrying some sort of bag, I recommend taking Apple's MagSafe battery pack and start charging once your phone gets to 50%. Now, let's talk about charging for a bit. The iPhone 13 mini supports charging speeds of up to 20 watts. In my tests using Apple's optional 20-watt charger, I got to 56% in 30 minutes, 87% in an hour, and 97% in 1 hour and 30. MagSafe charging speeds are capped at 12 watts and will be slower, but I usually just leave my phone on my MagSafe charging puck to charge overnight, so that's a non-issue for me. To make sure it stays put, I have the puck secured by Nomad's MagSafe mount, a pricey paperweight with a cutout for the puck to sit in. It's one of my favorite inventions that I didn't even know I needed. If you're switching from a much older iPhone, I regret to inform you that these days, Apple no longer bundles a charger in the box. And your old charger might not work, as these days Apple includes a USB-C to Lightning cable instead of USB Type-A. If you don't own one or are shopping for a new one, I recommend the 20-watt ArcStation Pro wall charger from this video's sponsor, Spigen. It's smaller than the one from Apple, comes with a foldable plug so it takes up even less space in your bag, and despite its size, delivers the same 20 watts of power that can get your iPhone from 0 to 50 in 30 minutes. Not all chargers are built the same, and this is one area where you do not want to skimp. Spigen's chargers include protection against overvoltage, overcurrent, short circuitry, and leakage protection. This model has one USB-C port and is available in white and black. It will also charge Android phones. Speaking of, if you own more than one device, consider their dual USB-C port chargers. The 30-watt model can charge 2 iPhones or 1 iPhone and 1 iPad at full speed. The 60-watt model can charge both an iPhone and power a MacBook Air. And believe it or not, the 100-watt model can power 2 MacBook Airs at the same time, or one 16-inch MacBook Pro. I'll put links to all these products down below. I get asked this question all the time. MJ, how much storage do I need? And my answer is always the same. As much as you can afford, especially if you don't upgrade your iPhone every year or so. You'll want enough leeway to be able to accumulate all that digital junk. I personally am a digital pack rat. I like to keep my messages archived, my attachments, emails, lots of photos. That alone takes up a lot of space. For most folks, I personally think 256 gigabytes is the sweet spot. But if you can afford the 512 gigabyte model, go for it. I'm just thankful the base model now comes with 128 instead of 64 gigabytes. This also makes this year's iPhone 13 and 13 mini cheaper by like $50 over last year. By the way, this doesn't really have anything to do with the new iPhone 13 mini, but if you're upgrading to a new iPhone this year and need to back up your files but don't have enough iCloud storage, Apple gives you temporary iCloud storage that you can do a full backup of your old one if you've already bought a new iPhone. There's an Apple support article on this. I'll also leave a link down below. If you look closely, the iPhone 13 mini's camera bump is much larger than on last year's model. It would have been even bigger had not Apple arranged the cameras diagonally. That's because of all new camera hardware Apple's had to squeeze into this tiny phone. For context, of all the 4 iPhone 12 models Apple sold last year, only the iPhone 12 Pro Max received the incredible wide-angle camera with a huge image sensor and a new kind of stabilization called sensor shift. That camera tech from Apple's biggest phone had to be squeezed in its smallest phone. The iPhone 13 mini's ultra-wide-angle camera is new too, also with a bigger sensor. And why does a larger image sensor matter? Think of it as just having a larger surface area to capture more light and detail. I'll show you what that might look like in a bit. But first, let's take a look at some image samples. Shot against the sun, this first photo uses the wide camera. Can you see Lady Liberty in the background? Both photos are very similar. The 13 minis has a bit more contrast, but it's unnecessary to nitpick. Here's another with me in it. Again, both shots are very similar with my face properly lit. As is almost always the case when it comes to the wide camera and photos taken during the day, you're really not going to see that much of a difference. Even as you get tighter on a subject, the bokeh in both these photos is as creamy as it gets. When there is sufficient light, even the ultra-wide-angle cameras will produce similar photos, like in this shot of a City Bike docking station. The difference really is one you'll see in low light. With larger sensors on both its wide and ultra-wide cameras, you'll get photos like this. Notice if you zoom in, how less noisy the 13 mini's photo is. And finally, this, which I took in a very dark bar with a 10-second exposure. The 13 mini's photo is brighter overall. New on the iPhone 13 this year is a feature called photographic styles. Here are some examples. This is standard, how the iPhone would normally take the photo. Vibrant, with more vivid colors. Rich contrast. Notice the shadows are darker. Warm, with golden undertones. And cool, with blue undertones. These aren't filters, by the way. The iPhone knows there's a human subject, so notice, even in warm and cool styles, my face isn't yellowish or bluish. In terms of video, there's also a feature called cinematic mode, available on all cameras, including the one you use for selfies. And here's an example. Of course, a small phone will have its cons too, and I feel like it's important that I point them out in case these are your non-negotiables. Screen size, for example, is obviously smaller. If you play a lot of games or watch a lot of movies, a big screen is always going to be better. I personally watch a lot of YouTube on my phone, in bed, and while moseying around the house. And while a bigger screen would have been nice, in the year that I used the iPhone 12 mini, I really didn't mind. I'd still watch all my favorite shows and movies on my big screen TV anyway. It also doesn't mean you can't game on the Mini. In fact, I've been playing the press demo for Catalyst Black on it, an upcoming multiplayer background action game, and if it looks familiar, it's because Apple highlighted it during the keynote. Another con is that audio isn't as loud as on the 13 or 13 Pro Max. So it's the same excellent screen, just smaller. And same well-tuned speakers, just relatively softer. The last con, and you've probably guessed it, is battery life. But that's also a factor of how big of a battery Apple could squeeze into such a small chassis. Just like the rest of our examples, the larger the phone gets, the better progressively the battery life gets also. If there's one reason to get the iPhone 13 mini over the iPhone 13, is portability. Even with pockets that can fit a 13 Pro Max, it's nice to carry a phone that's barely there. It's small enough to fit inside a shirt pocket, a fanny pack, and purses or pants of my lady friends who struggle with shallow pockets. Lately, I've been doing a lot of running. I love the freedom of being outdoors, and like most runners, I like to keep things lightweight. So much so that I'd rather use my aluminum Apple Watch versus my heavier titanium one. So what I'm saying is, I will always leave my phone at home. But there are some days where I do feel better having it on me, like when I'm out running further away and don't know how long it is till I'll be able to get back home. Or when I have a feeling I might catch a gorgeous sunset by the water and want to be able to capture the moment as I run by. Having a phone so small is a godsend, especially because I can comfortably wrap my hand around it. If you're in the market for a new iPhone 13 mini case, don't worry, I've already done the homework for you. You can click up here to watch my best cases for the iPhone 13 video, but here are some of my favorites in no particular order. The OtterBox, which is an Apple exclusive. I just love this bold print and its silky soft feel. Cons, it's expensive and MagSafe accessories don't hold on as tight. 2, apart from it being a very affordable option, I love the quirky print embossed on this smartish grip month case in flavor of the month. As their name implies, these cases have nice grippy grooves on them. 3, I will always default to an Apple case, be it silicone or leather. I don't currently like the colors being offered, but that's just my personal taste. So I went out and bought a tried and tested product red case for my mini. For the utmost in protection, I love Spiegel's Tough Armor in navy blue. It features this cushioning neon foam to protect against impacts and has a built-in kickstand. If you want to shop for any of these cases, I'll put links down below. Before we wrap up, it's time for some quick-fire Q&A. Questions that you left for me on social media that I haven't answered yet. Crawforb asks, is it too small? No, and here's what I always tell my friends. Whatever the size, you'll get used to it. So when you first start using the mini, it'll feel too small. When you first start using the Max, it'll feel too big. But over time, it'll feel just right. Howie asks for a notch comparison. Sure, the notch is 20% smaller this year, but it's still a notch and you'll know it's there. And while I one day dream of an all-display experience, it's not something that's ever bothered me. Last question from Shinra. Is it still your favorite? Yep, I think it is. So, is the iPhone 13 mini your gadget match? So I counted, and apparently I've used the word love 7 times in this video already, and that comes as no surprise because there's plenty to love about the iPhone 13 mini. It's a small phone that still packs a punch. And really, there's nothing quite like it in the market today. It deserves the GadgetMatch seal of approval. If you're the kind of user who wants a small phone and can live with average battery life, then the iPhone 13 mini is your gadget match. If you watch a lot of videos or love playing video games, consider a bigger screen and get the iPhone 13. And if you want the best cameras on an iPhone today, move up to the Pro series. Easy as that. And that was our iPhone 13 mini review. Guys, we still have 3 more iPhone review videos and a lot more content coming your way. So to make sure you don't miss any of these awesome videos, subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so that you get notified as soon as we publish. Follow me on social media for all the behind the scenes fun stuff. And as always, make GadgetMatch.com your daily habit. Until the next video, I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.